What is up, YouTube? Today we are talking about tokenization, one of the most crucial concepts that you need to know when trying to evaluate the value of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in the real world. So with that, let's hash it out. Now guys, really quickly before we get started, if you want to build your knowledge, boost your cryptocurrency gains, and join the movement towards our distributed world, please do not hesitate to smash the subscribe button and hit that bell notification button so you do not miss any of my future content. I post videos anywhere from 2 to 4 times a week, and I'd love to have you here with me every single time I post a video. Thank you guys. So guys, in this Token Talk Tuesday, we're actually not talking about a specific token, but we're really talking about the crux of what makes Token Talk Tuesday possible, what makes these cryptocurrency tokens possible, and that is tokenization. Guys, I've worked in the cryptocurrency space for the last 6 or 7 years, and more recently, I've been doing a ton of software development in the Ethereum space, so doing a lot of work in creating applications, helping build ICOs, helping evaluate ICOs, etc. And through that process, I've developed an appreciation for tokenization and really dug into the value that tokenization brings across a ton of different industries in the real world. So you may be wondering what tokenization is, and simply put, it's the process by which a physical or non-physical asset or commodity is assigned a digital representation. So think of it this way: if you have a digital token or a digital store of value that represents, let's just say, 1/1000th of the value of your home, that 1,000 tokens equals the entire value of your home, and then you have sort of a token that represents a piece of that physical asset that you own. So that's the basic concept of tokenization. And through blockchain protocols and cryptocurrency, tokenization is being taken to whole new levels where you can be doing things like selling fractional shares of things, selling fractional shares of even your time. So you can see how this might permeate the way we do billing of time in business, the way we do sales of homes, the way you can have access to capital, the way you can take equity out of a car, or even just a piece of property that you own in an open market. So tokenization opens up a whole new world of finance and the buying and selling of different commodities and assets. So let's talk a little bit about how this is different than the original way of doing things. So let's talk about stocks. Way back in the day, early on when stocks started being sold, basically you were given a physical certificate that entitled you to one share, which was worth a certain percentage value of the company's value. And that was a physical certificate that you got to hold in your hand, signed by a member of the company, usually the chairman of the board, etc. And that entitled you to one share of that company based on how much value they assigned, right? Now, soon enough, it became too tedious to keep track of all their certificates, and that's not super secure. So we moved to more of a digital store of value where now you still have those shares, but instead of being tracked physically, they're tracked digitally on your E-Trade portfolio or your Merrill Lynch account. Now here's the issue with the way that stocks are traded, is that you can really only hold a whole number of stock. So when you buy a stock, you can't buy a little piece of it. You can only buy one whole share in any volume that you want or any volume that you can pay for. Now that's fine for investors that have a lot of money, but I'm sure if you're interested in stocks at all and you don't have a ton of expendable income, you'd love to be able to invest a little bit in Google or in Amazon. But with stock prices skyrocketing for those companies, it's really not accessible for people to buy those stocks because you can only buy in whole shares. And this is because it gets really hard to keep track of when you start splitting up shares amongst multiple people. It's hard enough to track one whole share at a time based on ownership. But in a world where tokenization dominates, you could split that share up into 1,000 pieces or 1,000,000 pieces, as many pieces as you want, and the protocol helps you keep track of that tokenization because you have these unique identifiers for both the people purchasing and the tokens themselves on this blockchain network. Now, obviously, there's a lot more detail, and there's a lot more systems architecture and stuff that has to be done to make this system a reality. But what I really want to drive home is that tokenization allows you to break up an asset even an asset we're traditionally used to only being able to buy one whole piece of, into a bunch of fractional shares. So let's think of it like this. If you wanted to buy just a piece of an Amazon share because you didn't have over $1,000 to spend on a full share, how would you go about that? Really, there's not any way to do that now. But if you were able to buy a tokenized piece of that share, you could say get you and 10 of your friends to each buy a little piece. And in that case, what you could do is you could own a little fractional share token that represents, let's just say, 1/10 of that share. Then when you wanted to convert that, you could sell that 1/10 of a share at the market value. And it's really a simple concept where you're breaking something down into smaller increments. And the reason it hasn't been done now is A, no one's pushed hard enough for it to happen. B, it's really kind of difficult to do because there's a lot of record keeping involved and there wasn't really a system with the infrastructure built to do this until now. Now, we're looking at the new way of doing things. Tokenization is going to take over the way we do everything. Let's just say you want to pay for college and you're thinking to yourself, I'm 26 years old, I never went to college. Let's just say you were in the military, because I have a couple buddies who were in the military before, they got out, they didn't finish college, but they want to go back and finish college, but they own a home. So what they want to do is, instead of taking out another mortgage or rather pulling equity out of their home, they maybe just want to sell a couple shares of their home to private investors in a really popular area. So Northern Virginia housing prices are going up. Let's just say they sold 2 tokens that were worth 1/1000th of the value of their home. They could just get a little bit of money to help pay for classes. And then later, once they're finished with college and they want to get a good job and go out there and like really make up their money, they could buy those shares back at market value. It gives you new access to financing that you may not already have. And that the same thing goes for different microeconomies all over the place. Now, I'm not going to go too deeply into the technical nitty-gritty of how tokenization works, but just so you have a general idea, I'm going to tell you just a couple of the ways that it can be done. So there are platforms like Ethereum that are built for this very purpose. They're built to be a platform on which other developers can build out projects and different tokens on top of the Ethereum protocol. So basically you can think of this like the developer kit for your Apple iPhone. They give developers the tools they need to develop applications that run on their smartphones so that us, the consumers, can then use those apps and get more productivity or have fun on the devices. Ethereum is kind of structured the same way. While the token does have a value, Ether has value, the real value of Ethereum for me as an Ethereum developer comes from the ability to develop applications on top of it and create new tokens that serve a different utility. So, I created an app just for fun where there was basically, it was like a slot machine where you would put in a virtual token that I forget what I even called it. I think I called it Chuck E. Cheese tokens. And you put it into the digital lottery machine smart contract and it tells you if you won something or not, right? Super, super simple. But there you can see I assigned a value to that token, that fake digital Chuck E. Cheese token, where I said it entitles you to one play of the game where you can win, say, 10 tokens, 15 tokens, or get a notification that says you lost, right? But that's tokenization. I've tokenized something value. It's the intrinsic value of playing the game and winning the opportunity to get tokens out. That's tokenization right there. Now you can do something more complicated where you take equity out of your house, or you sell tokens based on the $150,000 your house is worth. You split that out into a bunch of different tokens. You can sell it to people so they can get a share of your home, right? To raise money. And we use that example. But you can do this for all sorts of things, whether it's a physical asset or just a service. Like if you want to tokenize your hours for the day, so you can only sell up to 8 a day, right? People can only buy 8 hours of your time every single day. I mean, the opportunities in this are pretty endless. And I want you to understand that it's a digital token and the value can either be assigned by the creator. How this works in practice is, let's just say for a loyalty rewards program, you want to have a token for your company and you want to give that out and you want to assign the value of that token. So that token, one token equals 1 cent. Let's just say that. And a user gets a token every time they spend let's just say $1, they get a cent back, right? So it's a pretty solid rewards program. You want a way to be able to track how many tokens someone has. You want them to be able to spend those tokens however they want and apply those tokens directly back. So you've assigned the value of 1 cent per dollar, and that doesn't change unless you decide it changes. So in the protocol, in your application, let's just say it's Ethereum based, you tell them how much it's worth. You know how much that token's worth. Now let's use the other example in the home situation where you're selling equity in your house by selling a tokenized version. So you don't have to go through a bank, you could sell it to a person, right? Now, in that case, the value of that token fluctuates based on the price of the home. So if your house was $150,000 when you sold the token and you sold 1/100th of your house, and then the house accrues in value, it gains $100,000, that share that they bought at $150,000 is now worth more because it's accrued in value. It's linked to a physical asset that can either increase or decrease in value. And conversely, if your house decreased in value, that share that they purchased, that token, is going to be worth less. So it's a lot like the same way that a stock works, or the same way that buying gold works, or buying copper works. But in this case, you can buy fractional, super fractional shares. You can exchange it instantaneously. There's a record of this being done everywhere, and it's super accessible. We're only now at the tip of the iceberg with how valuable tokenization can be. So I urge you to do more research and follow more of my videos that I'll be releasing about tokenization. Now, there are a ton of platforms that are doing things with tokenization across the industry, across the gambit. You have supply chain, you have, the home building industry, you have different financial services companies doing this. And there are lots of startups that I'm gonna start doing Token Talk Tuesday videos about going forward that are doing this very thing. I've actually got a video about Ravencoin coming out really soon, and that's one that's focused almost exclusively on tokenization. So that's a really cool one. Definitely don't forget to subscribe so you can keep track of that video. But tokenization is one of the key concepts for you to understand when you start thinking about the value that cryptocurrency and blockchain brings to the world in the form of innovation, in the form of new business models, and new ways for people to extract value out of things they already have. And at the end of the day, blockchain technology is going to change the way we do business from top to bottom. And I definitely am here as a resource for you guys to learn as much as you can about this new model and this new way of doing things. So if you have any questions, leave me a comment below. If you just want to say what's up, leave me a comment below that says what is up, Hashoshi. And I thank you guys so much for watching. Please do check out some of my other Token Talk Tuesday videos, because I do every single week a new video about a different cryptocurrency, and I am super, super proud of them, and I'm happy to share them with you. Thank you guys very much. Cheers.